Hello and welcome to today's Delta Credit Tip. So today we're talking about how do we prevent ourselves from being a victim of identity theft or fraudulent charges based on the type of transaction that we do. What are the pros and cons? What are some of the pitfalls? Stay tuned, we'll tell you what on today's Delta Credit Tip. Hello and welcome back to today's Delta Credit Tip. So today we're going to talk about those transactions that you're doing. The vast majority of both identity theft and fraudulent transactions actually either occur or get set up at the point of sale when you're actually using your card or your checking account, your bank account to do these kinds of transactions that you do on an everyday basis. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some of the most popular ways that you do your transactions, but we're going to show you some tips and tricks and little things about the methods so that hopefully it will protect you moving forward and we're not trying to clean up your credit on the back end, right? Love the job security of all you guys losing your money to all these scammers and losing your identity every day of the street, every day of the week. But I'd much rather show you some simple things that you can do, simple characteristics of the transactions that you're doing that will help prevent you from having to call our offices later on. Now, I know may seem like a very simple video, but hear me out, stay till the end, listen to the tips that we're talking about, because knowing how these things work can make a big difference on how you handle your money, okay? And again, this is all about not necessarily fixing your credit on the back end, but making sure that we're going into these transactions with better behavior so that we're not costing ourselves time and money, heartache, and pain on the back end, right? And hopefully this information is helpful. If so, come on, give us those thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell so that every Thursday as we come out with more information, you get it right out of the gate, all right? So let's talk about these transactions that you do primarily out of your checking account. And there's three most popular transactions are going to be debit cards, ACHs, and online bill pay. And those are really the top three that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start with the most popular one, of course, being your debit card. Now, your debit card, of course, it is not a credit card, but it does have usually either a Visa or MasterCard logo. And because it has those logos on it, a lot of the protection that those logos carry with their credit counterparts extend to your debit card. Read those terms and agreements that your bank gave you so that you understand the protection that they give you, because usually once you go above $50, there are certain protections that are in place for fraudulent charges that occur in your checking account. Now, the reason why the debit card is such a popular way to do your billing, either online or when you're doing online purchases or in-person purchases, is because you have so much control, right? A debit card is very, very easy to control. If you have, let's say, that gym membership that they keep tapping your account every month, even though you stop going to the gym, you can do a stop payment, right? And that will prevent them from being able to tap that money out of your account. That's by far the easiest way to do it. Also, what I always recommend is that if you are a big time online shopper, a big Amazon kind of person, another technique that you can do to protect your account is for all those online, and I would also say gas pump transactions, get yourself a second debit card from the bank. A lot of times what a banker will say is, oh, get a second checking account for your online transactions. No, that's a bunch of drama, right? Remember, one of the characteristics of a budget is that we want it to be easy to execute. And if you got 12, 13 accounts all over town, like you're trying to do Dave Ramsey with a checking account, right? It ain't gonna work. You can't have 12 checking accounts for 12 different kinds of transactions. It's just too complicated. But what you can do is you can have two debit cards for the same account. And one of those debit cards can be used exclusively for gas station pumps and online. Why? Because those are two cases where debit card information gets stolen through skimmers and whatnot, and you get repeated transactions that you're not really wanting. Okay, and the reason why you want a second card is because to shut down your card, let's say you're doing, you're paying your utilities and your credit cards and everything like that automatically from your debit card, you don't want to have to go back and change all that information. So the more risky transactions that you do it on a separate card, so you can shut down that one card, get another one for those kinds of transactions, but your primary card is left unscathed. All right. So debit card, definitely one of the more popular and easy ways to do a transactions, but it is my second favorite. Okay. My first favorite is online bill pay. Why do I like online bill pay? Well, because of the way that the system works. Now, online bill pay is what your bank offers you. Online bill pay isn't going on to your local utility company and paying on their website. That is not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is putting your utility provider information into your online banking system, and then the online banking system sends the payment. The major difference there is that instead of the utility company or whoever you're paying, instead of them reaching into your account to pull the money out, you're pushing the money out of the account to them. Now, the way that typically works is that the bank will send an electronic check. Okay? The first time around, it might even be a physical check that they mail until they figure out the pathway to that merchant. But usually it's an electronic check. And the thing about that check is that the routing number and the account number doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the bank, because whenever you have these kinds of transactions, they actually pull the money out of your account, it goes into an escrow account of the bank, and out of that account, it gets pushed off to the merchant. So you never run the risk of them actually knowing your account information, which is fantastic, because that just eliminates a lot of the risk that you assume in making that payment. And another thing, as far as it being on time, usually a bank will have a guaranteed delivery date. Like I said, the first transaction may take a little while, maybe a week or 3 days or however long it takes that bank to actually get that payment to them. But after that, it's usually an electronic check with a guaranteed delivery date of the same or next day. So it works out really, really well. They'll usually itemize those transactions separately so that you'll know what you paid with online bill pay versus what you paid with your debit card or checks or cash or whatever that you've done under your account. All right. So definitely like the online bill pay. When you go to your bank, just talk to a personal banker if they still have them at the bank. You know, some banks now are completely just computer screens now, which is ridiculous, but some banks still have them. And if you don't know how to do it, give us a call. We'll show you how it works. Then there's now the third option, and this is going to be my least favorite, and this is where most merchants are going to lean towards because it gives them ultimate control over your account, and that is through what we call an ACH, automatic clearinghouse, right? Where you're giving them the routing number and account number off of your check or from your account so that they can go ahead and yank that money out of your account when they see fit. Well, I really do not like that. As a matter of fact, as a company, Delta Credit Restoration, we don't even take that form of payment from our customers anymore because we don't want them to get in the habit of it, right? It's not something that we even want you to entertain because you lose 100% control over your money. And here's why. So let's go back to that gym membership, right? You don't go to the gym anymore and you want them to stop making payments. So you say, you know what? They're not listening to me. I'm going to put a stop payment on it to prevent them from hitting my account. Well, that won't work because all they've got to do is change that amount by 1 penny and that transaction will go through again. And you say, oh, that wasn't good. I know what I'll do. I'll shut my account down. That way they can't pull the money out of my account. That actually won't work either. If it's an ACH, usually within so many days after closing an account, if they hit your account again to pull that ACH, it will reopen the account. And then your account goes negative, right? Don't ask me why the banks do it this way. That's not something that I've figured out. But it will literally reopen your account and overdraw it. And then, of course, that's a whole nother big ball of wax because now the bank's going to charge off the account and then you're going to come see us because you got this charge off and you're in check systems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So really not a big fan of the ACH because you have absolutely no control over it. You can't stop a stop payment. You can't even shut down the account and it becomes a mess. So whatever you do, don't use an ACH. All right. Now, little tidbit here, just kind of off the cuff that are kind of outside these transactions. Two more things. Checks are kind of outdated now because, of course, you run that risk of them getting your routing number and account number, and money orders don't like those either. You cannot prove you made a payment through a money order because a money order doesn't have a remitter. It doesn't know who wrote the check. So you really can't use a money order anymore to create that paper trail that a lot of times you might need to prove you made a payment on something. So I hope this information helps. If so, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget, subscribe and hit the bell below so that every Thursday as we come out with this information, you get it right out of the gate. If you know someone who's just opening up a checking account or setting up their budget, share this information. Perhaps it might be useful and perhaps it'll help them make a choice, make a change. Delta.